The metallic taste of blood, sharp and coppery, fills my mouth. I stare at the scattered papers across our ridiculously expensive marble kitchen floor. Credit card statements. My platinum card, the one he swore was only for emergencies. And there it is, a $15,000 charge. For a diamond tennis bracelet. I saw it last week, didn't I? Sparkling on Sophia's wrist, his too young, too eager secretary at the company party. She'd flashed it around like a trophy. His trophy bought with my money. The betrayal, it's a physical thing, cutting deeper than the searing pain that's suddenly blooming in my chest, spreading like wildfire. His scent, that expensive cologne I bought him for our anniversary, it's clinging to his shirt, but it's all wrong. It's mixed with something else, something cheap and floral. Her perfume. The combination makes me want to gag. He stands there, Marcus, my husband of 5 years, loosening his tie, his face a mask of casual annoyance. As if my gasping for air, my hand clutching my chest, is just another one of my dramatic episodes. "Emma, you're being dramatic," he says, his voice devoid of any real concern. His phone buzzes on the granite countertop, a text. From her, no doubt. He actually glances at it. The pain intensifies, a crushing weight. I can't breathe. I slide down the cool, unforgiving surface of the countertop, the polished granite offering no comfort. My vision starts to blur at the edges. 5 years, 5 years of marriage, 7 years together, all the dreams, the promises, the I love yous. All of it crashing down into this one unbearable moment. This is how it ends. Not with a tearful confession, not with a desperate apology, not even with a sliver of remorse. No, it ends with him checking his phone, while my heart literally gives out from the stress, the heartache, the sheer weight of his deception. My heart pounds frantically, a wild bird trapped in my ribs, as betrayal crashes over me in waves, each one more suffocating than the last. I try to speak, to scream, to tell him what a monster he is, but only a choked gasp escapes. The last thing I see, as the pristine white of the kitchen ceiling fades to black, is Marcus stepping over my fallen body. He's reaching for his wallet on the counter, probably heading out, probably going to Sophia, probably going to spend more of my money on his mistress, stepping over my corpse to do it. The darkness takes me then, a cold, empty void. But death, it turns out, isn't always the end. Sometimes, if you're angry enough, if you're wronged enough, maybe, just maybe, it's a second chance. My second chance. And this time, I wouldn't be the fool. The silence of the void stretches, and then a jolt. Not of pain, but of awareness, laughter, my own laughter. It echoes, bright and carefree, through a space that feels both strange and intimately familiar. I'm sitting at a scratched wooden table, sunlight streaming through a slightly grimy window, and I'm smiling. Actually smiling. Across from me, Marcus smiles back, his eyes crinkling at the corners in that way I used to find so endearing. Before I knew it was a carefully crafted illusion. The newspaper in my hands. It's real, tangible. The chronicle and the date. My breath catches. It's dated 3 years in the past. 3 years. The familiar creak of our old floorboards under my feet as I shift in my chair. It's a sound I'd forgotten. A sound from a life I thought was long gone. This is our old apartment, the one we lived in before the money. Before my grandmother's inheritance changed everything, or so I thought. It hadn't changed Marcus, not really. It had only given him a bigger playground for his deceptions. "What's wrong, babe?" Marcus asks, his brow furrowed with what appears, for a fleeting moment, to be genuine concern. But I know better now. The script of my life, our life, is etched into my memory, scarred onto my soul. I remember what comes next. The slow, insidious manipulation. The gradual erosion of my confidence. His careful, calculated access to my accounts. The systematic destruction of my self-worth, piece by painstaking piece. I tremble, the memories flooding back not as vague recollections, but as vivid, painful realities. In 6 months from this exact day, I'll inherit $50 million from Gran. A fortune I never asked for, but one that would seal my fate. In 2 years, almost to the day, Marcus will begin his affair with Sophia, the bright-eyed intern who will become his secretary, his confidant, his whore, bought and paid for with my money. And in 3 years, I'll be dead, collapsed on a cold kitchen floor, betrayed, broken, and utterly alone while he steps over me. I force myself to steady my breathing, to liberate my mind from the crushing panic that threatens to overwhelm me. This is impossible. It has to be a dream, a dying hallucination. But the cheap, slightly sticky wooden table under my fingertips, the scent of stale coffee and Marcus's familiar sandalwood soap, it's all too real. Just thinking about the future, I say, my voice surprisingly even. I watch his face, his handsome, lying face. Even now, 3 years before the true rot sets in, I can see it. That calculating gleam in his eyes when I mention the inheritance that's on the horizon. He thinks he's so clever, so subtle in his gold-digging aspirations. He has no idea. He has no idea what I know. He launches into a well-rehearsed speech about responsibility, about how we'll need to be careful, how he'll help me manage it all. His concern is so touching, so false. While he's distracted, outlining his plans for my money, I casually slip my current, modest limit credit cards from my purse, which is hanging on the back of my chair, and slide them into the pocket of my jeans. A small act of defiance, a tiny reclaiming of what's mine. It's not much, but it's a start. This time will be different. It has to be. Because this time, I'm not the naive, trusting girl who believed in fairy tale love and happily ever afters. I'm a woman who's lived through his ultimate betrayal. A woman who has died for it. And I'll be damned if I let him do it to me again. A cold clarity settles over me. I have a timeline. I have the knowledge. I have the advantage. I have exactly 2 years, 7 months, and 12 days before he destroys me again. Unless, of course, I destroy him first. A grim smile touches my lips. Game on, Marcus. Game on. The law firm's marble lobby still intimidates, but it's different this time. Last time, metaphorically speaking, I was practically on my knees, begging for scraps of information about my own inheritance, made to feel like a child incapable of understanding complex matters. This time, I walk in, head held high. My best suit, a charcoal gray that means business, feels like armor. Grand's diamond earrings, the ones she left me specifically, catch the light as I move, each facet reflecting my newfound purpose. The satisfying click of my heels against the polished marble floor echoes my determination. Each step is a statement. Miss Chen, Mr. Henderson, my grandmother's old-school, very proper lawyer, greets me, his eyebrows shooting up in surprise. I wasn't expecting to see you for at least another 6 months. According to your grandmother's will, the estate isn't due to settle until then. Plans change, Mr. Henderson. I offer a cool, polite smile and settle into the plush leather chair across from his imposing mahogany desk. It smells of old books and even older money. I want to discuss the restructuring of my inheritance. Specifically, I lean forward, my voice calm but firm. I want to explore options for ironclad protection against any future spouse having access to my primary assets, regardless of when those assets are officially transferred to me. He blinks, then a slow, appreciative smile spreads across his face. A prudent move, Miss Chen. Very prudent indeed. Relief floods through me as I watch him nod approvingly. He has no idea how prudent. Marcus doesn't know I'm here. He thinks I'm at my monthly book club meeting, discussing the merits of the latest romance novel where the impossibly handsome, slightly flawed hero inevitably cheats, and the long-suffering heroine, after a brief period of angst, always forgives him. How utterly, ironically fitting that I'm actually here, laying the groundwork for his spectacular downfall instead. Over the next 3 weeks, my life becomes a masterclass in covert operations. I systematically document everything. I download discrete recording apps onto my phone, capturing his increasingly frequent business calls that sound suspiciously like flirtatious banter. I learned to be a photographer of mundane treachery. Every dinner bill from a restaurant I wasn't invited to, every receipt for gifts I never received, every credit card statement that shows a pattern of expenditure completely out of sync with our supposed shared financial goals. When Marcus uses my soon-to-be maxed-out credit card, the one he's supposed to use for groceries and emergencies, For work dinners that I know, with chilling certainty, are auditions for future mistresses. Women he hasn't even properly met yet but is already wooing on my dime, I just smile sweetly and say nothing. I'm the supportive, unsuspecting future heiress. The quiet power move of the century, for me at least, is opening several new bank accounts in my maiden name, Emma Morrison, only. I start siphoning small, almost unnoticeable amounts from our joint savings. Funds Marcus barely acknowledges because he's so focused on the big $50 million prize. He won't notice these trickles until his own financial well runs completely dry. The private investigator I hire, Sarah Martinez, is worth every single penny of her exorbitant but, as it turns out, entirely justified fees. She comes highly recommended, a specialist in complex divorce cases, particularly those involving financial fraud and hidden assets. She's sharp, impeccably discreet, and radiates a no-nonsense energy that tells me she has zero tolerance for cheating husbands and manipulative men. She's perfect. Your instincts are spot on, Emma, she tells me during our second clandestine meeting, this time in a bustling, anonymous coffee shop far from our neighborhood. She slides a slim folder of glossy photographs across the chipped formica table. The bitter taste of the burnt black coffee I'm sipping matches the bitter, burning satisfaction of being proven right. He's already making moves. So much earlier than I remembered from my past or future. 3 different online dating profiles we've found so far, all very recently activated, all subtly mentioning he's about to come into significant money or is expecting a major financial windfall. The photos are a study in casual betrayal. Marcus at upscale bars I know we can't currently afford. His arm around a blonde here, laughing intimately with a brunette there. Restaurants I've only dreamed of, meals he's clearly enjoying with these women, while I'm at home eating pasta and budgeting for our future. He's spending our grocery money, our bill money, on these potential side pieces, practicing for the day he'll be squandering my inheritance on Sophia. There's more, Sarah continues, her voice low and even. He's had at least 2 meetings with a high-profile financial advisor. We have a source inside the firm. The topic of discussion? Investment strategies for significant upcoming liquid assets. He's getting his ducks in a row to manage your money. Rage, hot and familiar, ignites in my chest, but I channel it, cool it into icy calculation. This isn't just about stopping him, it's about dismantling him. I authorize Sarah to conduct a complete deep dive asset search on Marcus. What she uncovers makes my blood freeze, despite the anger still simmering. He has debts. Significant debts I never knew existed. Gambling markers from online poker sites. Credit cards in his name only. Maxed out on luxury purchases he's kept hidden from me. Expensive electronics, designer clothes, things we couldn't possibly afford on his meager sales commission. And the kicker? A secret apartment leased downtown, a small, seedy studio, but leased nonetheless. For what purpose? A bolt hole? A place for trysts he was planning even before the money came? But the most shocking discovery, the one that makes me realize the stakes are even higher, that this isn't just about a cheating husband, but potentially something far more sinister is yet to come. The background check, the really deep one that Sarah specializes in, reveals a pattern. Marcus isn't just an opportunistic gold digger, he's practically a professional. 2 previous long-term relationships, both with women of considerable, though not astronomical wealth. Both relationships ending abruptly, mysteriously, after the women had, for reasons unknown, signed over significant assets or control of funds to him. Neither woman pressed charges. One moved abroad immediately after, the other, Sarah found, was now living a quiet, reclusive life. One of them, Rebecca Albright, after much gentle persuasion from Sarah, agreed to meet me. We meet for a quiet lunch in a discreet restaurant. Her hands shake as she recounts her story, her eyes haunted. He's a chameleon, Emma, she warns, her voice barely above a whisper. He becomes exactly what you want him to be. He made me feel like I was the paranoid one, the jealous one, the crazy one for questioning him. He gaslighted me so expertly. By the time I realized what was truly happening, that he was systematically draining my trust fund, it was too late. He'd cleaned me out and vanished, changed his number, disappeared from social media. It was like he never existed. My blood runs cold. I realize, with a jolt of genuine fear, that I have far less time than I thought. Marcus isn't just a greedy fool. He's a predator, more calculating and more dangerous than I ever imagined. The ticking clock in my head just sped up. The inheritance ceremony, the official reading of Grand's will, feels like a meticulously rehearsed stage play this time around. I know all the lines, all the cues. I know exactly what's coming. The feigned look of stunned surprise on Marcus's handsome face, the carefully calculated displays of affection, the way he'll squeeze my hand just so and whisper sweet nothings about our future, while I practically see the dollar signs cha-chinging behind his eyes. The musty smell of old money, aged leather from the antique chairs, and Mr. Henderson's faint pipe tobacco fills the stuffy solicitor's office, a sensory anchor to a past I'm desperately trying to rewrite. And to my beloved granddaughter, Emma, I bequeath the entirety of my residual estate, currently valued at $50 million, Mr. Henderson announces, his voice resonating with the gravity of the sum, just as he did before. But this time, I'm not staring blankly, overwhelmed. I'm watching Marcus, every flicker of his eyelashes, every subtle shift in his posture. There it is. That brief, almost imperceptible flash of pure, unadulterated triumph in his eyes, so quickly masked by a look of tender concern for my overwhelming new responsibility. He's good. I'll give him that. He's very, very good. Baby, this is incredible, Marcus breathes, pulling me into a tight embrace. His hug feels different now, not protective, not comforting. It feels predatory, possessive, like a python coiling around its unsuspecting prey. We need to be smart about this, Emma, really smart. This is a huge responsibility. Let me help you manage everything. You know I'm good with numbers. I melt into his arms, performing the role of the grateful, dazed, utterly overwhelmed heiress to absolute perfection. He needs to believe I'm still that naive girl. Oh, Marcus, I sigh, my voice trembling with perfectly feigned vulnerability. I even managed to squeeze out a few convincing tears. I don't know the first thing about managing this much money. I'm so scared I'll mess it all up. Maybe you should handle the big financial decisions. You're so much better at this stuff than I am. The hook is set, and he swallows it, line and sinker. Over the next month, I play the part of the clueless, overwhelmed inheritor with Oscar-worthy dedication. I pepper Marcus with questions about complex investment portfolios I pretend not to understand. I defer to his often flawed financial knowledge. I even, with a show of great reluctance and after much persuasion from him, suggest adding his name to a couple of newly opened, very visible, but strategically low-balance accounts for emergency access just in case. He beams, assuring me it's the sensible thing to do. Every document he eagerly signs, however, thanks to Mr. Henderson's brilliant legal maneuvering and some very creatively worded clauses, actually gives me more control, not less. He's signing away his access, not gaining it. But the jargon is so dense, so convoluted, he doesn't even realize it. He just sees his name on accounts linked to my fortune. The scratch of expensive pens on crisp legal documents becomes the soundtrack to his impending doom. I create a series of fake financial statements, beautifully printed, showing the bulk of my inheritance sitting in easily accessible, high-yield savings and checking accounts. Accounts he now believes he has some measure of control over. In reality, almost all of Grand's $50 million is locked tighter than Fort Knox in a series of complex, multi-layered trusts that Marcus, or any future spouse, couldn't touch with a 10-foot pole backed by a court order. These trusts are managed by a discreet team of fiercely loyal financial advisors who've been briefed by Mr. Henderson and already view Marcus as a particularly avaricious fortune hunter. Meanwhile, my evidence file grows fatter by the day. Every business dinner he charges to our new joint credit card, the one with my money funding it, of course, while simultaneously texting other women he's grooming. Every ridiculously expensive investment piece he buys for himself. A new Rolex, a first edition book collection he'll never read. Every elaborate lie he spins about working late when my PI's photos clearly show him touring high-end downtown apartments. Love nests for his future affairs. You deserve to treat yourself, darling, I coo when he proudly shows off a new $5,000 watch, a limited edition he got a great deal on. Use the platinum card. What's mine is yours, right? Satisfaction, cold and sharp, courses through me as he takes the bait so eagerly, his eyes shining with greed. The credit card statements, now delivered daily by email at my request, become my favorite reading material. Marcus grows bolder, more reckless with each passing week. Designer suits, the latest electronics, even a hefty down payment on a vintage sports car he couldn't resist. All charged to my account while he continues to whisper sweet lies about budgeting, fiscal responsibility, and securing our future. 3 months into my new life as an heiress, he mentions Sophia for the first time. It's almost casual, a throwaway comment over a dinner I can barely stomach. There's this new secretary at work in my department, he says, swirling his wine. An expensive vintage he's developed a taste for, again, on my tab. Sophia, really sharp, incredibly professional, amazing organizational skills. Honestly, Emma, I think she could be a real asset in helping us manage some of our more complex financial paperwork, the estate stuff. The timeline. It's happening, right on schedule. The affair, the one that will be the centerpiece of his downfall, will begin in approximately 6 weeks, exactly as it did in my previous doomed existence. I nod enthusiastically, my smile wide and guileless. That sounds absolutely wonderful, Marcus. What a great idea. Maybe we should take her out to dinner sometime. As a thank you for helping us out? The look of sheer, unadulterated panic that flashes across his face for a millisecond is utterly delicious. It's gone as quickly as it appears, replaced by his usual smooth composure. Oh, no. No need for that, baby. I don't want to mix our business with our personal life too much. Keep things professional, you know? The clink of our silverware against the fine china plates is the only sound for a moment, as we eat in a carefully constructed, heavy silence. The next day, I commissioned Sarah to hire a freelance photographer. Their first assignment, to document Marcus and Sophia's first business lunch, the one he tells me is a vital networking opportunity. The photos are perfect, gallery-worthy images of betrayal. Marcus leaning in, feeding Sophia a bite of his tiramisu. Marcus holding her hand across the linen-covered table. Marcus gazing at her with that same look of dopey adoration he used to reserve for me, back when he thought I was just a sweet, naive girl with a modest income. But this time, I'm not the heartbroken, unsuspecting wife stumbling upon the evidence of an affair. Oh no, this time I'm the spider, patiently, meticulously weaving my web, watching with grim satisfaction as the oblivious flies get hopelessly, irrevocably entangled, because the real trap, the one that will snap shut and leave him with nothing, hasn't even been triggered yet. 2 weeks later, as if following a predetermined script, Marcus comes home from working late with a small, elegantly wrapped jewelry box in his hand. He has that sheepish, slightly guilty look he gets when he's trying to butter me up. I saw this today and it made me think of you, he says, his voice a little too earnest as he presents it to me. I know this bracelet. It's a delicate, understated silver chain with a tiny sapphire charm. I remember it with perfect clarity. I remember exactly when he bought it in my past life, how much it cost, a fraction of what he'd soon be spending on Sophia, and, most importantly, who it was really intended for, or rather, who it was a practice run for. In my previous life, I'd found the crumpled receipt for this very bracelet tucked into his sock drawer 3 months after he'd given it to me. The date on the receipt was just days before he'd presented Sophia with her much more extravagant diamond tennis bracelet. This little silver trinket had been his trial run in gift-giving deception. I beam at him, my eyes wide with false gratitude, while a cold, hard fury calculates in the recesses of my mind. How dare he? How dare he try this again? Oh, Marcus, it's beautiful, I gush, my voice catching with just the right amount of emotion. I extend my wrist, allowing him to clasp the flimsy bracelet around it. You're so thoughtful, thank you. What Marcus, in his monumental arrogance, doesn't know is that this bracelet, this cheap symbol of his rehearsed betrayal, like every single other thing he has bought or will buy with my money, is about to become Exhibit A in the comprehensive dossier that will utterly destroy him. I immediately photograph the bracelet next to its gift box and the still intact gift receipt, which he'd carelessly left in the bag. ensuring the timestamp on my phone's camera is clearly visible. Another precious piece of evidence added to my rapidly growing collection. He's making this almost too easy. The hotel security footage is cinematic gold. Grainy, yes, but the narrative is crystal clear. Marcus and Sophia entering the elevator at the Grand Regent Hotel downtown. His hands are already wandering possessively on her waist, then dipping lower. She's pressed up against him, head thrown back in laughter, looking up at him like he's some kind of god. They're like a pair of hormonal teenagers who can't wait to get their clothes off. The timestamp in the corner of the monitor reads 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. He'd told me he was stuck in endless budget revision meetings all afternoon. Liar. The static buzz of the security office monitors displaying my husband's blatant betrayal in unflattering grainy black and white is a strangely soothing sound. Room 412, the bored-looking security manager confirms, his voice flat as he slides a printout of the keycard records across his cluttered desk. Registered under Marcus Chen, paid for with a credit card ending in 7834. My card. Of course it's my card, the platinum one, with the ridiculously high limit I'd been persuaded to authorize. Every sordid detail, every illicit thrill, funded by me. I absorbed this information not with the soul-crushing devastation I experienced in my past life, but with a cold, detached satisfaction. He's so predictable, so utterly, pathetically predictable. This time there are no tearful confrontations in hotel hallways, no screaming accusations that only serve to make me look like the unhinged, hysterical wife. Oh no. This time I wait. I wait in my discreetly rented, heavily tinted SUV parked across the street from the Grand Regent service entrance. Armed with a high-powered telephoto lens and a thermos of lukewarm coffee, I meticulously document every moment of their illicit afternoon rendezvous with the precision of a seasoned paparazzo. The photographs are damning, clinically, beautifully damning. Marcus's hand, proprietary and firm, on the small of Sophia's back as they scurry out of a side exit, clearly trying to avoid the main lobby. The telltale champagne delivery to room 412 Dom Perignon, naturally, the $300 a bottle stuff, charged to my platinum card. I even capture a long lens shot through their partially open curtains, amateurs, of him looking at her with that disgustingly tender expression, the one he used to reserve for me, like she's the most precious, wonderful creature on earth, all while he's systematically treating me, his wife, like a walking, talking, endlessly replenishing bank account with legs. Back in my car, I immediately upload the images to a secure cloud server and send copies to Mr. Henderson and Sarah Martinez with a simple, encrypted text message. Phase 2 is now operational. Proceed as discussed. At home, later that evening, Marcus waltzes in, showering off Sophia's cheap floral perfume and the scent of hotel soap, and pretends that absolutely nothing out of the ordinary has occurred. "How was your day, sweetheart?" he asks, his voice a perfect imitation of marital solicitude as he leans in to kiss my cheek, with lips that were intimately acquainted with another woman mere hours ago. The lavender scent of his expensive triple-milled soap I bought him, for God's sake, is being used to wash away the evidence of his betrayal. The irony is almost enough to make me laugh out loud. "Productive," I reply, my voice light and airy. And it's the truth. Very productive. I've been doing a lot of thinking about our finances lately, Marcus. You know, with all this new responsibility, maybe we should start keeping much more detailed records of all our expenses. For tax purposes, of course. "Why?" he asks, a little too quickly. A flicker of something, panic, guilt, darts across his eyes before he smooths it away. Are you worried about something, Emma?" "Not worried, darling," I reassure him, patting his arm. "Just curious. And that new financial advisor you recommended, Mr. Abernathy? He specifically suggested we track every single expenditure much more carefully. Something about maximizing deductions for the upcoming tax year." I watch pure, unadulterated relief flood his features as he swallows my carefully constructed lie whole. He's so easily manipulated when his own greed is involved. Over dinner, a simple salad for me, a lavish steak he felt he deserved after his hard day of meetings for him, I casually, innocently, mentioned seeing a stunning silver BMW convertible downtown earlier that day. Absolutely beautiful car, Marcus. So sleek. I've always wanted one just like that. Marcus visibly chokes on his mouthful of expensive Cabernet. The silver BMW is Sophia's dream car. I know this because I had my PI discreetly tail them yesterday when Marcus, in a fit of post-coital generosity, took her car shopping with my black Amex, the one with no preset spending limit, naturally. A BMW? He stammers, his face paling slightly. They're incredibly expensive, Emma. Way out of our league even now. Oh, don't be silly, darling. I remind him sweetly, my eyes wide with feigned innocence. Money isn't really an object anymore, is it? Not for us. Maybe you should go and test drive one. You know, just for fun. Use the black card, the one Mr. Abernathy said we should use for significant asset acquisition exploration. What's the harm in looking? The timeline in my head is ticking along perfectly. I know exactly what he'll do with that little suggestion. He won't be able to resist the temptation to play the big shot, the generous sugar daddy. 3 days later, my credit card statement pings on my phone. A charge for $89,472.33 from Luxury Motors, Inc. Marcus comes home that evening whistling and tells me he's bought himself a modest, reliable, slightly used sedan for practical everyday commuting. He even shows me a blurry photo on his phone of a boring beige car. But Sarah's photographer was, once again, in the right place at the right time. The photos are exquisite. Marcus, beaming like a lottery winner, presenting the keys to a gleaming, brand-new silver BMW convertible to a squealing, ecstatic Sophia in the parking lot of the Grand Regent. The kiss they share is long, passionate, and utterly nauseating. The sharp crack of the high-resolution printed photos as I add the dealership receipt and the PI's report to my burgeoning evidence file is a symphony to my ears. You're so incredibly generous, Marcus. Sophia's voice, captured with perfect clarity by the PI's strategically placed directional microphone, purrs from the audio recording. I can't believe you actually bought me a car, my dream car. Only the best for my future wife, Marcus replies, his voice thick with bogus sincerity. My heart, had it still been capable of such fragile emotion where he was concerned, would have shattered into a million pieces. Instead, I feel only the cold, hard satisfaction of being proven utterly, devastatingly right. I smile grimly as I meticulously transcribe every single incriminating word, adding it to the narrative of his self-destruction. The affair, now that it's been consummated and christened with an expensive German sports car, accelerates at a breakneck pace, precisely as it did before. Designer handbags for Sophia, extravagant jewelry, secret weekend getaways to luxury spa resorts, champagne-fueled shopping sprees on Rodeo Drive, all funded by my grandmother's legacy, all meticulously documented by me, all while Marcus spins increasingly elaborate, almost comical lies about crucial out-of-town work conferences, urgent family obligations requiring his immediate presence. His family lives 3 states away and rarely speaks to him. And late-night brainstorming sessions with his team. But this time, I'm not the clueless, heartbroken victim, unknowingly funding my own betrayal, my own humiliation. This time, I'm the hunter, coolly and calmly, gathering the evidence for his complete and utter annihilation. The final, irrefutable piece of the puzzle, the one that will seal his fate, comes when Sarah uncovers the apartment lease. The luxurious downtown penthouse apartment, the one with the panoramic city views he'd always coveted. Marcus had signed the lease 2 weeks ago, in both their names, Marcus Chen and Sophia Reynolds, using a direct transfer from one of my new, supposedly joint bank accounts for the hefty security deposit and the first full year's rent up front. A staggering $180,000 for their glamorous, adulterous love nest. All while he had the audacity to complain to me about my excessive spending on organic groceries and the unnecessary expense of my weekly yoga class. That night, while Marcus is enjoying a romantic surprise getaway with Sophia at a 5-star resort in Napa, a trip he told me was a mandatory team-building corporate retreat, I have the locks on our marital home changed, all of them. Deadbolts, security system codes, garage door openers, everything. All utilities are swiftly and efficiently transferred solely into my maiden name. He's in for a rather rude awakening upon his return. Later that same evening, I sit in Mr. Henderson's dimly lit, book-lined office, a tumbler of expensive single malt scotch in my hand, reviewing the ironclad prenuptial agreement Marcus had so eagerly, so arrogantly insisted I sign. The one he claimed was just a formality, baby, to protect what little I have in case, things don't work out. The irony is so thick I could bottle it. He's comprehensively violated every single relevant clause, Mr. Henderson observes, his voice a low rumble of satisfaction as he flips through the color-coded evidence folders Sarah and I have so painstakingly compiled. Adultery, check. Financial fraud and misappropriation of spousal assets. Check and double check. Gross misrepresentation of personal assets and liabilities prior to contract, check. Emma, this isn't just irrefutable grounds for an immediate, no-contest divorce in your favor. Frankly, this is grounds for multiple criminal charges. I steel myself for what comes next, for the decision I've been wrestling with for months. I don't want him arrested, Mr. Henderson, I say carefully, my voice devoid of emotion. Not yet, anyway. I want him utterly, comprehensively, and very publicly destroyed. The timeline is rapidly converging. Tomorrow, Marcus will attempt to come home. Tomorrow, his carefully constructed world of lies and luxury, built entirely on my money and my misplaced trust, will come crashing down around his ears, and I will be there to watch every moment of it. The sound of Marcus's key scraping uselessly against the newly installed high-security lock of our front door is music to my ears. I watch from the sheer curtains of the living room window as he stands on our porch, his initial confident swagger quickly dissolving into frustrated confusion. He jiggles the handle. He tries the key again, with more force this time. Then, the inevitable fumbling for his phone, his face a mask of bewildered panic as he stabs at the screen to call me. The satisfying, heavy click of the expensive, newly installed deadbolts, locks that no longer recognize his touch, his key, his very presence, is a profound comfort. Emma? His voice, tinny and strained, crackles through the intercom speaker by the door. Emma, pick up! What the hell is wrong with the door? My key isn't working. Did you change the locks or something? I take my time. I savor the moment. Each step I take from the living room, across the polished hardwood floor towards the front entrance, is deliberate, measured, powerful. When I finally swing the heavy oak door open, I don't step aside to let him in. I stand firm, blocking his entry. Your key doesn't work, Marcus, I inform him, my voice remarkably calm, almost conversational. Because this isn't your house anymore. Just like your impressive collection of platinum and black credit cards don't work because, well, they're not your accounts anymore either. I watch with a deep, almost visceral satisfaction as the full weight of my words, the chilling implication behind them, crashes over his handsome, arrogant face like a rogue wave of icy water. His jaw slackens, his eyes widen in dawning horror. What are you talking about? He stammers, his voice suddenly an octave higher. Emma, you're scaring me. This isn't funny. What the hell is going on? I hold out a thick, official-looking manila envelope. He stares at it as if it's a venomous snake. Divorce papers, I announce, my voice still even. A restraining order, effective immediately, and, just for your reading pleasure, a meticulously itemized bill for every single penny you have systematically stolen from me over the past 6 months of our loving marriage. His hands, I notice with grim pleasure, are shaking as he takes the envelope. The bill alone, printed on high-quality bond paper, is 47 pages long. Every lavish dinner with Sophia, every designer gift, every illicit hotel stay, every lie, every deception, every stolen moment. The BMW, the penthouse apartment, the ridiculously expensive jewelry, all documented with crystal-clear photographs, original receipts, and precise timestamps. The rustle of those legal documents in the crisp autumn wind, whipping around our porch, feels like the sound of his carefully constructed illusions being torn to shreds. This is insane, he finally sputters, his face draining of all color. You can't do this. Oh, but I can, Marcus, I assure him, taking a deliberate step onto the porch, subtly forcing him backward, off my property. And I already have. As of 9 a.m. this morning, all your known personal assets have been frozen by court order, pending a full investigation into multiple counts of financial fraud. That shiny new BMW you were so proud of? It's likely being repossessed as we speak. Your little love nest downtown? The eviction notice was served an hour ago. Your impressive wallet full of credit cards? Canceled. Every single one. I let the silence stretch, allowing the full magnitude of his sudden, catastrophic downfall to sink in. He looks like a man who's just been told the world is ending, and he's the only one who didn't get the memo. But, but I love you, Emma, he stammers, his eyes darting around wildly, a desperate, cornered animal. He actually reaches for me, for my hand, with the same hands that have so recently, so intimately touched another woman. We can work through this. I know I made some mistakes, I admit that, but mistakes? I cut him off, and this time my laugh isn't light or airy. It's sharp, brittle, cold enough to cut glass. A mistake, Marcus, is forgetting to pick up milk from the grocery store. A mistake is accidentally shrinking a cashmere sweater in the wash. What you did? You systematically, cold-bloodedly stole from your wife while simultaneously screwing your secretary in luxury hotel rooms that I paid for. That's not a mistake, darling. That's a declaration of war. His face goes white, then a mottled, unhealthy shade of red. How did you know about Sophia? I finish for him, my voice dripping with contempt. Oh, please, Marcus. You're really not as clever or as discreet as you clearly believe yourself to be. I relish watching his blustering arrogance begin to visibly crumble, replaced by a raw, desperate panic. I pull out my phone, the sleek new model I bought myself last week, and casually scroll through the photo gallery. I turn the screen towards him. Crisp, clear images. Marcus and Sophia, mouths locked in a passionate kiss in the lobby of the Grand Regent. Marcus beaming, presenting Sophia with the keys to her new BMW. Marcus and Sophia, arms around each other, signing the lease documents for their penthouse love nest, his pen, my expensive Mont Blanc pen, clearly visible in his hand. My private investigator, Sarah, she's exceptionally thorough, I continue, my tone conversational, as if discussing the weather. Did you know, Marcus, that Sophia actually believes you're already divorced? That you've been feeding her some sob story about an amicable split and a generous ex-wife? She has absolutely no idea she's been sleeping with a married man, a con artist who's been stealing his current wife's inheritance to impress her with a lifestyle he can't legitimately afford. The timeline is ticking, right on cue. Speaking of Sophia, I add, glancing at my watch, she should be receiving some rather interesting documents from Mr. Henderson's office right about now, via courier. Very official. As if summoned by my words, Marcus's phone, still clutched in his trembling hand, begins to ring. The ringtone is an annoyingly cheerful, upbeat pop song, My Girl, the same ridiculously sentimental song he used to play for me constantly in the early days of our relationship. Now it's clearly Sophia, calling him, probably hysterical, probably confused as to why her brand new BMW has just been unceremoniously towed from her office parking garage and why building security is currently escorting her, rather forcefully, from an apartment she genuinely believed Marcus owned and was lovingly providing for her. I wouldn't answer that if I were you, I advise, my voice laced with mock sympathy. You'll need to conserve all your energy for the rather more challenging conversation you're about to have with your boss. The CEO, Mr. Albright? Rebecca Albright's father, as it happens. Small world, isn't it? My boss? He whispers, his eyes wide with a new dawning terror. Indeed. About the rather detailed sexual harassment and hostile work environment lawsuit, Sophia will undoubtedly be filing with HR, probably by lunchtime, once she fully realizes you've been systematically stealing company-linked funds. My funds, facilitated through accounts linked to your employment benefits, and lying to her about pretty much everything. Turns out, Marcus, women really, really don't like being deceived, manipulated, and made fools of. Who knew, right? The distant, faint sound of sirens wails in the chilly afternoon air, whether it's police cars, an ambulance, or perhaps even the tow truck coming for any assets he might have foolishly left parked on the street. I can't quite tell, but it seems undeniably fitting, a mournful soundtrack to his demise. Marcus, looking utterly defeated, sinks heavily onto the porch steps, the damning divorce papers and the itemized bill of his betrayals scattered around his expensive Italian leather shoes like fallen autumn leaves. "Emma, please," he begs, his voice now a pathetic, broken whimper. "I'll pay everything back. Every cent. I swear. I'll end things with her, with Sophia today. Right now. We can start over. Please, Emma. I love you. I really do. Start over." I kneel beside him on the cold stone, close enough that he can smell my perfume, the exclusive, expensive French fragrance he used to adore, the one I'm wearing today as a final fragrant fuck you. "Darling Marcus," I murmur, my voice soft, almost tender. "This isn't the beginning of our problems. This is the absolute, unequivocal, and entirely self-inflicted end of yours." I stand, brushing imaginary dust from my new silk skirt with a theatrical gesture of dismissal. "Your lawyer will be in contact with Mr. Henderson's office shortly regarding the court-ordered debt repayment schedule. Let's see. I believe the current total, with preliminary interest and legal fees, comes to precisely $73,947.22, a tidy sum. Mr. Henderson has already calculated a very manageable payment plan for you. Based on your current legitimate income, it should only take you, approximately 15 years to complete, give or take." "I don't have that kind of money," he wails, his voice cracking with despair. "You know I don't." "Then I suggest you get creative, Marcus," I reply, my tone brisk. "Very creative. Maybe Sophia can help you out with a loan." "Oh, wait, that's right. She's probably in the process of blocking your number and changing her locks right about now." I turn, intending to walk back into my house, my sanctuary. Then, as if struck by a sudden afterthought, I pause at the doorway, a mini cliffhanger just for him. "Oh, and Marcus, one more thing," I say, my voice light, almost cheerful, without turning around to look at his pathetic, crumbling form. "That prenuptial agreement, the one you were so adamant we sign, the one that so diligently protects all your premarital assets in the unfortunate event of a divorce, I had my legal team review it again this morning. Very, very carefully. Turns out, darling, that multiple proven instances of egregious financial fraud and deliberate spousal deception effectively void all those lovely little protections for you, every single one, which means everything you currently own, your clapped-out old car, your meager savings account, even your much-prized collection of vintage sports memorabilia, can and will be legally seized and liquidated to begin repaying your substantial debts to me." The sound Marcus makes, then, is a truly pitiable thing, somewhere between a strangled sob and a guttural groan of pure agony. With a soft, final, utterly satisfying click, I walk into my house and close the door on his ruined life. Through the window, I allow myself a few moments to watch him. He sits on the porch for almost another hour, a broken man amidst the scattered ruins of his deceptions, making a series of increasingly frantic, clearly unsuccessful phone calls. His shoulders shake with what looks like a combination of impotent rage and abject despair. Probably both. The smooth, cool silk of my new designer dress against my skin is a delightful, tactile reminder of my hard-won freedom, my clean slate. My phone buzzes with a series of text updates from Sarah Martinez, efficient as always. Sophia has indeed formally filed a comprehensive harassment and fraud complaint with Marcus's company HR department. The BMW dealership has successfully and rather publicly repossessed both the silver convertible and Marcus's sad beige commuter car, which he'd also foolishly bought on credit he couldn't afford. The Grand Regent Hotel has permanently banned Marcus from their premises due to several large, unpaid bills charged to now-canceled credit cards. I bask in the warm glow of the systematic, methodical destruction of his carefully constructed, entirely fraudulent life. The best part of all of this? None of it required me to scream, to cry, to make a public scene, to look like the vengeful, scorned ex-wife. To the outside world, to anyone who might inquire, I am simply a pragmatic, intelligent woman who unfortunately discovered significant financial fraud perpetrated by her spouse and took the appropriate, necessary legal action to protect her assets and her dignity. Marcus, bless his greedy, stupid heart, destroyed himself with his own insatiable avarice and his breathtakingly foolish underestimation of me. The timeline is almost complete. Tomorrow, the final chapter of his downfall will be written, and I'll be starting a brand new book of my own. 6 months later, I'm sitting in Mr. Henderson's sun-drenched office, the panoramic view of the city skyline sprawling beneath us, a breathtaking vista I never truly appreciated when I was married to Marcus. I was always too busy, too consumed with worrying about his moods, his needs, his endless, unspoken demands to ever really stop and enjoy my own success, my own life. The satisfying scratch of my favorite gold fountain pen across the heavy, expensive paper of the final divorce decree is the only sound in the room. I'm signing away the very last vestige of the worst chapter of my life. Mr. Henderson slides the neatly stacked documents across his gleaming mahogany desk with a small, immensely satisfied smile. "Well, Emma," he announces, his voice warm, "it's official. The marriage is irrevocably dissolved. All your assets are fully protected, shielded from any conceivable future claim. And Mr. Chen's court-mandated debt repayment plan is firmly locked in place. He won't be wriggling out of that." I breathe deeply, a genuine, soul-deep sigh of relief, feeling lighter, freer than I have in years, possibly ever. A weight I didn't even fully realize I was carrying has been lifted. "And what about the potential criminal charges for the financial fraud?" I ask, carefully organizing the signed papers into my new, sleek leather briefcase with a newfound sense of efficiency and order. "Ah, yes." Mr. Henderson leans back in his chair. "The district attorney's office has decided not to proceed with a formal prosecution at this time, given that a comprehensive mechanism for full restitution is now legally in place. However," he adds, a twinkle in his eye, "I have it on very good authority that the Internal Revenue Service is taking a very, very keen interest in Mr. Chen's previously unreported income, his rather lavish luxury purchases over the past year, and several, shall we say, questionable financial declarations. Tax evasion, as you know, carries rather hefty penalties." I nod calmly, a faint smile playing on my lips. I had, of course, with Sarah's discreet assistance, ensured that certain anonymous but highly detailed tip-offs found their way to the relevant government agencies. A quiet power move, a final little gift to Marcus. I had orchestrated this particular outcome with meticulous precision. The heavy oak door to the office opens, and Sarah Martinez, my brilliant, unflappable private investigator, enters. She's carrying a thick, neatly bound folder. "The final report, Emma," she says, her voice crisp and professional as she sets it on the polished desk between us. "Every transaction, every lie, every hotel room tryst, every deceitful text message, all fully documented, cross-referenced, and verified for your records. A complete compendium of Mr. Marcus Chen's spectacular self-immolation." I allow myself to flip through the folder, marveling at the sheer, comprehensive artistry of Marcus's downfall. The photographs, in particular, tell the story far better than any novel ever could. Marcus, looking haggard and defeated, moving a few pathetic boxes into a cramped, run-down studio apartment in a decidedly undesirable part of town. Sophia, her face a mask of grim determination, boarding a bus at the Greyhound station, reportedly transferring to her company's satellite office in Denver to escape the scandal and rebuild her shattered career. The gleaming silver BMW, once her pride and joy, now being unceremoniously sold at a police impound auction. The crisp sound of those professional, high-gloss photographs sliding against each other is a small, sweet symphony of victory. "He tried calling your personal cell 73 times last week alone," Sarah reports, consulting her notes. "Also sent a rather desperate-looking bouquet of wilted flowers to your apartment building, which your ever-vigilant doorman, Miguel, refused on your behalf, as per your standing instructions." "Desperation really doesn't look good on him, does it?" I observe, closing the folder with a decisive snap. There's a certain grim satisfaction in knowing he's suffering, but mostly I just feel an overwhelming sense of indifference. I dismiss the thought of Marcus's ongoing suffering with the same casual ease and lack of concern with which he once dismissed my feelings, my pain, my very existence. My phone buzzes on the desk. A group text from my book club, "Wine night at Jessica's tonight, 7 p.m. sharp. Bring your absolute favorite, most satisfying revenge story to share. XOXO." I smile, a genuine, unforced smile that reaches my eyes as I quickly type back, Ladies, I am currently living my new favorite revenge story, and trust me, it's a bestseller. See you at 7. I'll bring the good champagne. Mr. Henderson clears his throat, a subtle diplomatic sound. And what are your plans now, Miss Chen? Or perhaps I should more accurately say, Miss Morrison? I've legally, joyfully taken back my maiden name, along with my power, my independence, and my future. Travel, Mr. Henderson, I say immediately, without a moment's hesitation. Extensive travel. I want to see Italy, every inch of it. I want to learn to paint, badly, but with passion. And maybe, just maybe, I'll finally buy that charming little vineyard in Napa Valley I've always dreamed about owning. Life, I've learned the hard way, is finite and precious. I've wasted more than enough of my allotted time on unworthy men and undeserved heartaches. As I leave the hushed, rarefied atmosphere of the law office, my phone rings. The caller ID, surprisingly, shows Marcus. For a fleeting, treacherous split second, my heart gives a familiar little flutter of old conditioning, a Pavlovian response to his summons. Then, just as quickly, I remember. I remember the betrayal, the callous lies, the crushing weight of his selfishness, the chilling image of him stepping over my dying body to retrieve his wallet. I decline the call without a second thought and promptly block his number. Permanently. The smooth, buttery leather of my new designer handbag, bought with my own money for my own pleasure because I damn well deserve it, feels wonderful beneath my fingertips as I step into the waiting elevator. The elevator descends 42 floors, and with each passing floor, I feel the last vestiges of my old life, my old self, falling away, like shedding a skin that no longer fits. By the time I reach the bustling, sunlit lobby, I'm already mentally shortlisting Italian language schools and idly browse online listings for art studios with good natural light. Outside, the city pulses with a vibrant, chaotic energy. Food trucks line the sidewalks, their diverse, savory aromas. Spicy tacos, sweet crepes, smoky barbecue mixing tantalizingly in the crisp autumn air. Street musicians play soulful jazz on crowded corners, where impeccably dressed business people hurry past, clutching their afternoon coffees and important-looking briefcases. I savor this moment of absolute untainted freedom. 3 blocks from the law office, heading towards my favorite independent bookstore, I spot a familiar, rather pathetic figure hunched over a grimy bus stop bench. It's Marcus. He's wearing the same expensive Italian suit he wore to our final divorce court appearance. A suit that now looks wrinkled, ill-fitting, and slightly too large for his noticeably stress-diminished frame. He's holding a battered-looking cell phone to his ear, his voice tight with what sounds like desperate pleading, probably begging some long-lost acquaintance for money, or a job reference, or perhaps just a moment of human sympathy. I could walk over, I could gloat, I could deliver a final, cutting remark. But instead, I choose something far more powerful, far more satisfying. I choose to not care. He's irrelevant. He's a ghost from a past I've already moved on from. I turn and walk decisively in the opposite direction, towards the cozy little neighborhood cafe where I used to sit for hours, writing in my journal long before I got married. The one Marcus always complained was too pretentious, overpriced, and full of hipsters. His loss. The barista, a friendly young woman with bright pink hair, recognizes me instantly. Emma! Wow, we haven't seen you in forever. The usual, double espresso, no sugar? Actually, I say, scanning the brightly colored chalkboard menu with new eyes, a genuine smile playing on my lips. I think I'll try something completely different today. Surprise me. The rich, intoxicating aroma of freshly ground coffee beans, dark and promising, fills the air, a scent pregnant with the possibility of new experiences, new beginnings. While I wait for my mystery drink, I pull out my phone and systematically delete every digital trace of Marcus Chen from my life. His contact information, all his photos, our old, posed, happy couple photos from social media, every text message, every email, every digital reminder of our shared history. It all disappears with a series of satisfying, decisive taps of my finger. I feel a palpable weight lift from my shoulders with each deleted memory, each severed tie. The barista hands me a beautifully crafted lavender honey latte, served in a heavy ceramic mug, steam rising invitingly from its surface. It's sophisticated, unexpected, and utterly delightful nothing I would have ever dared to order when I was still trying to be the perfect, accommodating, budget conscious wife who never indulged in small luxuries for herself. I find a quiet corner table with a sunlit view of the bustling street and pull out the supple, leather bound journal I treated myself to yesterday. The first page is still pristine, invitingly blank, waiting for the story of my new, unwritten life to begin. As I lift my pen, ready to write, my phone buzzes with a notification from an unknown number, a message. My heart gives a little lurch. Not again. The message is short, almost curt. "This is Sophia Reynolds. Can we talk? I think there are some things you should know." For a brief, surreal moment, I'm transported back to my previous life, back to that crushing moment of discovery, when finding out about Marcus's affair with Sophia felt like the absolute end of my world, a betrayal so profound I thought I'd never recover. Now, Sophia's tentative, almost pleading text message feels like nothing more than a minor, vaguely interesting curiosity. A footnote in a chapter I've already closed. I consider ignoring it. Then, with a sigh, I type back a brief, polite, but firm reply. "Sophia, there's truly nothing to discuss. I wish you the best of luck with your fresh start. Emma." I hit send and immediately block her number too. She's part of his mess, not mine. Not anymore. The smooth, satisfying flow of dark ink across the thick, cream-colored paper of my journal is a welcome antidote. I begin to write, my hand moving quickly, confidently. Chapter 1, the day I chose myself. I write about the disorienting, terrifying, ultimately empowering morning. I woke up 3 long years in the past, armed with the bitter knowledge of my future and a burning, unquenchable determination to rewrite it. I write about the grim, methodical satisfaction of watching Marcus's intricate web of lies and deceit unravel under the unwavering, inescapable weight of truth. I write about the profound, life-altering realization that the best, most satisfying revenge isn't fiery destruction or public humiliation. It's a cool, calm, unshakable indifference. But mostly, I write about discovering the simple, fundamental truth that genuine happiness isn't something someone else gives you or something you find. It's something you actively, consciously choose for yourself every single day. Outside the cafe window, life, in all its messy, vibrant, unpredictable glory, continues its chaotic, beautiful dance. Couples argue passionately on street corners, then kiss and make up just as quickly. Ambitious young professionals stride purposefully towards important business deals. Dreams are born, and dreams inevitably end. I smile as I realize with a deep sense of peace that none of that everyday drama, none of that turmoil touches me anymore, not unless I choose to let it. Marcus used my credit cards, my money, my trust, to try and buy a love that was never real, to shower his mistress with gifts that ultimately meant nothing. In return, I used his devastating betrayal, his calculated cruelty, to buy myself something far more valuable, something utterly priceless. My freedom, my future, myself. I signed my first journal entry not as Emma Chen, the betrayed wife, but as Emma Morrison, the woman reborn, reclaiming my identity, my power, my narrative, completely and irrevocably. The late afternoon sun streams through the cafe windows, casting long shadows across the floor, its warm golden light bathing my face as I begin to idly sketch out plans for my upcoming Italian adventure. Tomorrow, first thing, I'll book the plane tickets. Next week, I'll start seriously house hunting in the sun-drenched hills of Napa Valley. Next month, I'll be someone entirely new, someone refreshed and renewed, someone who has never been betrayed by Marcus Chen because she has finally, unequivocally, learned to trust herself first. The future, once a terrifying, uncertain landscape, now stretches ahead of me, bright with infinite, exhilarating possibility. As I pack up my journal and my new favorite pen, preparing to leave the comforting embrace of the cafe, I catch a fleeting glimpse of myself in the antique, slightly foxed mirror hanging by the door. The woman looking back at me is radiant, confident, whole. She's someone Marcus Chen never deserved, never truly saw, and certainly never, ever appreciated. And she's finally, beautifully free. The cheerful jingle of the cafe door chimes brightly as I step out, not into the fading light of a day ending, but into the brilliant, welcoming sunshine of my brand new life, leaving the past and Marcus and all his sorry, sordid drama exactly where they belong, far, far behind me.